up. Tom, I'm glad that you made it. It's great to see everybody here. Thanks for showing up to this event. Wanted to thank the AEC BuildTech for having this. If I talk too loud or talk too soft, let me know. I tend to talk loud, so just let me know if I'm too loud. I guess I wanted to start off today with a little bit of a brief overview of who I am and go through the goals of this. So as you see, the topic of this is mixed reality for construction, okay? But in order to talk about mixed reality for construction, we have to talk about a couple other things before we can get to the mixed reality part. So kind of bear with me on the front of this, because without the front of it, the back of it, we won't understand, okay? So my name is Nicholas DiBattista. I'm the general manager of BuildingPoint Midwest and BuildingPoint Gulf Coast. I come from a construction family, graduated college, was in that construction industry for a couple years, and in the late 90s, I joined the Trimble channel, okay? So I've been in the Trimble channel in some degrees since 1998. Started with mainly 2D machines, standard layout equipment on the construction side, and in the mid-2000s, I moved on to survey engineering, which is really Trimble's heritage, what they do best. And then towards the late 2000s, went back into the construction mode and started building heavily our construction experience in the market. So that's where I'm from. Chad Williams right there, he's our mixed reality SE. So he's been with us for a couple years. He's one of our Gulf Coast employees. He lives in Birmingham, Alabama, and he won't talk too much, because if he talks, you won't understand a word he says. So I would assume we have a large Midwest crowd, so I will keep you away from having to try to understand him, right? So I'm going to do most of the talking. All right, so a little bit about who knows Trimble in the room? Raise of hands. All right, it's pretty heavy. So just a little bit about Trimble. Publicly traded company. Our core businesses, which we'll go over in a little bit, it's mainly construction and geospatial agriculture, our roots and our core business, okay? Founded in 1978, headquarters in Sunnyvale, California. Most of our operations now for Trimble are in Westminster, Colorado, okay? But headquarters still in Sunnyvale, California. $3.1 billion in 2018. They've had many acquisitions. In the last couple years, you've seen Tekla, which is a steel detailing software and concrete detailing software, if you haven't heard of them. I'm sure you've seen Viewpoint out here, Viewpoint, eBuilder, Siskiyou. So many companies might have heard of, you might not know that Trimble acquired them over the last couple years. So really moving forward into this space, about 8,600 employees. So BuildingPoint, who here has heard of BuildingPoint? I knew Tom, love it. So BuildingPoint is the channel for Trimble in the buildings market, all right? Since Trimble is in so many different industries, they have to have a channel that's regional that helps move their solutions into the industry, that has people like Chad and others that are dedicated to the product, to the market, to the solution, to making sure that these things get implemented to the best of its ability, all right? So that's who we are. They're individually owned and operated, but we basically buy into the Trimble message, right? So Trimble and us are very, very close. We are only a Trimble dealer, and we try to push that buildings message through our channel and through our people. So BuildingPoint Midwest, our base operations are in Plainfield, Illinois, right? Southwest, about 30 miles. And if you're from this area, it might take you an hour and a half. But we're close. So we handle Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan. Our Gulf Coast location is in Lafayette, Louisiana. And we handle Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi in that area. So we're here to transform the way the world works by delivering products and services that connect the physical and digital world. So, mixed reality. It's one way of doing that. That's why BuildingPoint really exists, is to help bridge that gap. And whether you're using one of our sensors like our robotic total stations, with a lot of you are familiar with, or a software, we're bridging that gap. That's all we're here to do. BuildingPoint is here to help with that. So, core business from Trimble. I talked about it already. This is where we've made our living. I got a laser pointer on here. Buildings is where BuildingPoint is at. This is where we do our business. There are other dealers that handle the heavy highway. There's other dealers that handle the geospatial, which is survey and engineering is geospatial, for those that don't know that. And then there's transportation and logistics. That's our core business. That's Trimble, okay? They're taking those sensors and everything they create, software and sensors, and they're putting it into the industry in these markets. Emerging businesses. These are businesses that are starting to adopt the technology from our core business. You're starting to see mining using robots and scanning and mixed reality. You're starting to see field services, oil and gas, it's big, especially down in our Gulf Coast area. Oil and gas is huge. So we're taking the technology from our core business and we're moving it down to those other businesses. So today's goal, getting the most out of mixed reality. So today 3D models are everywhere. They're often project requirements. So we're going to learn best practices for 3D models and actually using them in the field. So we are going to go through specific workflows as listed there. We are not going to show you the HoloLens and mixed reality live streaming to this video camera because it's a nightmare and I'll look like a fool. But we've got predetermined videos that we made. And at the end of this, we are going to allow you guys to line up, put it on, and we have a model that's based for this building, and you guys can do all of your own testing as you want, okay? The streaming of the data to a projector just will make me look bad. It's delayed and everything else. So I want to go over what it can do and how we handle the models, and at the end, I want you guys to get some real hands-on. So we have the room after this for as long as we need. So we'll just need to organize it, and then that's when you'll have to listen to Chad and try to understand what he says. So, industry challenges. Data is everywhere. So, everybody's using all their own data, and they're keeping it in all their own silos. Every subcontractor is using something on site to either store a file, manage a file, use a file on site, but they're all using something different. SharePoint, Dropbox, I don't know, their phone, anything. They're all using a different file. Now, they may be getting a coordinated file from the general contractor, but the odds are they're all storing it in a separate silo. So that is a problem. Processes are disconnected. So the models or the drawings are disconnected, but now everybody has their own process. How do I lay out a piece of equipment, whether it's MEP or it's an anchor bolt in concrete? How do I manage my own RFIs and change orders? Everybody uses something different. So we have different data in different silos and different processes. Decision making is error prone. So with the two things being totally siloed, our decision making is erred. And what does that cause? It causes rework, it causes supply chain issues, management issues, and it's just a nightmare for everybody. Margins are slim, risks are high. So inside our BuildingPoint, we have a VDC services department. We have some project managers that come from the industry. We do 3D coordination on projects. We're doing a 3D coordination of the new football stadium down at the U of I campus. Hopefully that makes them actually win a game or two. But so we understand this. We have a project manager on there, and he's actually coordinating all the MEP trades to make a model. So I understand margins are slim and risk is high. Because if we get this wrong, it blows up our back office, it blows up our modeling time, our change orders, and everything. And a lot of that happens is because data is everywhere and management is bad. Okay? So I get the challenges we're dealing with. So you're going to hear this from Trimble. It's probably on every banner out there. And if you go to any event, you're going to hear about our constructible process and the 3 C's. right? So what we're trying to do is say, all of these different solutions that we're providing out there in the marketplace, we're trying to allow you to have one access for that, because that's the only way that everybody on a project is aligned. The only way they're connected, the only way that you can have a constructible model is if you can access this data and feed into one portal and have everybody utilize that portal. But obviously it's easier said than done, right? So today we're going to talk about the XR10 or the HoloLens. Has anybody seen the XR10 release? I mean, no, okay, good, awesome. And Trimble Connect. Trimble Connect at the top is our hub. And I want you guys to understand, I have to talk about Connect in order to talk about mixed reality. They go hand in hand. I can't talk about this cool little HoloLens without talking about how does it get a model? Because you don't just put that on your head and it knows where you're at and then just gives you a model, right? You have to pull from it. So, Connect. Connect is our platform for taking all of our Trimble heritage, which is all the sensors that we've been making, GPS sensors, robot sensors, and that collect all kinds of data, whether it's software for modeling or a sensor out in the field for collection. And we're putting it in one place that everybody can access. And not only are we putting Trimble stuff in there, we're allowing you to put Revit stuff in there. We're allowing you to put Bentley in there. So I can throw up an IFC file in its native, or a Revit file in its native format, and then I can have anybody on that project access that without having a Revit license or a Bentley license or whatever software you decide or file type you're deciding to use, or an IFC file. Okay, so we can manage that without everybody having to own a license. And these down here are the sensors that I can access it with. I can connect with my computer. I can access it with a laptop, with a iPad, with a phone, with a HoloLens, with virtual reality, not augmented reality, which I'll go over the difference. And then I also have a sync button. Everybody uses Google Drive, right? Everybody knows Google Drive, you got the sync button. So we have that ability to sync down to my local machine as well. So I can do cloud, I can also put it on my machine, but I have a base of operations where I can manage a model, and it doesn't need to be Trimble specific. So even though it's Connect and it's Trimble Connect, we can manage multiple different types of models in there, okay? So this kind of overlays the same thing I just said, but it shows computer, iPad, phone. You have folder structures, you have models based in there, and we can coordinate around that model on this. We can use any kind of sensor on this. We're not showing the robot, but we should put an actual robot up here, because I take this model and I bring it right down to my robot and I lay out, whether I'm an MEP, whatever trade I'm at, okay? So, oh my gosh. All right. So, this is a bunch of equipment that's used on a job site. Not just Trimble, everything. You've got Word documents, you've got Revit files, you've got SketchUp files, you've got eBuilder, if there's an owner out there who's running their project management software. There's machine control going on, there's drones flying around. There's all this data being collected on a job site. Every job site. And all of these people are asking, so Tom over there at Walsh right here, he's asking somebody for a file, and he's going directly from the robot to whatever software he's asking for, and they're dumping it in. And it's one-to-one communication, right? And nobody else sees it. And who knows what file type it is, who knows what version it is, who knows if it's 2D or 3D. Only those two know. The rest of the job doesn't know. What Connect does, it allows everybody to throw their data up to one hub and pull from one hub. That means everybody's using the coordinated model that is made on the front end, because that's where we're at now. Most projects have a coordinated file on the front end of projects. We lose track of that somewhere when the job starts. Always lose track of it. So that's what Connect does. It allows us to access this information from one hub. So some views of Connect, real quick, couple slides. So one of the things we can do at Connect is we can do any kind of data sharing. And I can do an IFC, a drawing, a 2D drawing, a 3D drawing, whatever you want. We can load it up in here, and then anybody can access this. You can invite anybody to it, and they can make notations on it. They can do all of these options over here, all inside of Connect. All right? And then your sensor just gets to view it. All right? Let me see here. User activity. So another thing it can do is give you activity feeds of who accessed what drawing, model, change order, RFI, and they can have notes around it along with the actual model and piece of the model that you see. I can access this from anything. I can access it from my phone, my laptop, my iPad, my mixed reality solution. Okay? BIM viewing. This now runs the Tekla engine. Who's familiar with Tekla in the room? Anybody? Okay. Connect runs our Tekla engine. If anybody's used the Tekla model, you know it's crisp and it's fast and it's detailed. They're known for rebar detailing and steel detailing. It is a detailed model. All right? So you can come up here, you can pull measurements. You can do layer management on 2D files. You can do object management on 3D files. Whatever you want to do, you can do it in Connect. You don't need to have a Tekla file if this is or Tekla software if this is a Tekla file. You don't need to have Revit if this is a Revit file. You just can do it in Connect. To-dos and annotations. You can actually do markups and put stuff on a model and share it with anybody you want on the job. And it's just a feature you can do inside this. Whatever type of model that is, you can do it. And you can view it in a mixed reality solution or just your phone. So you have multiple ways of viewing. I can associate data to it. So I can take this diffuser and I can put on a PDF on it with a spec sheet right on there so everybody can see it. So I can associate real information to objects or drawings. And then you can set up all kinds of notifications on who gets the email and all this other stuff, right? So it is somewhat of a management solution, but it's built for a 3D world, but I can do the same thing in 2D, right? I can do the same thing in 2D, but this is our hub for 3D, and everything is moving that way. Here's just a Tekla to Trimble workflow. So this is a Tekla model, obviously sitting in Connect, and the reason I show that is if you are using any Trimble equipment, there is a direct interface into Connect. So if you're using our robots for layout, there's a little button at the top that says Connect, and you can throw stuff up there or you can bring stuff down with a click of a button. If you're running Project Site, which is our project control solution, it integrates right into Connect. Okay, so you can move this information very quickly on Trimble solutions. But even if you're running Autodesk, there's an Autodesk plugin. You download it into your Revit, and then you can publish files right to it. Okay? So very simple, very easy. It's not just Trimble. So let's talk about what you we're here for, right? The mixed reality. So there's basically three types, right? There's VR. It replaces your entire environment with a fake environment. This is, you're completely blacked out and you cannot see the real world. Augmented reality, enhancing your environment. So this is mainly used from an iPad or a phone. I can hold it up, I can see my real environment, and I can draw on it, pull measurements, but I'm not really looking at a designed model in it. I'm just being able to look at what's out there and draw and make measurements on real life information. And then there's mixed reality, which is actually the combination of the two of them. Mixed reality gives me the ability to see the reality, what's out there, but then align my model to the real reality. So that means I can pick planes or points and align my digital model to my real life reality that's out there, okay? So that's augmented reality. I'm seeing the real life and I'm seeing what I'm planning to put into this space. Did I lose anybody, or did that make sense? Make sense? Nobody's sleeping yet, so that's good. All right, so bear with me on these next 3 slides because I put them together and then I had to talk my way through them to make sense. So I'm going to try to do it in the first time. So utilizing 3D data is an investment, and you guys, based off of your trade, what you do, your investment is different from another trade contractor. And what I mean by that is, if you're an owner or a developer, when you hear 3D models, you think rendering models. The final cool looking model. It's got trees and light posts and people walking. You're seeing the model of what my building should look like when I'm totally done, right? That's what you're worried about. If you are a MEP firm or a civil engineer or somebody that's doing road work, you're looking at a model, and when they think model, they think of a point cloud, scanning. I want as-built information, what's really out there, because I don't care what it looks like at the end and these pretty trees and everything. I want what's really there because I'm an engineer, or I want real data. This is a model. This is just a very, very detailed, lot of information model. It's a point cloud. It's got information all over it. I can pull real measurements on it. It's real. So based off of your trade, what you do is based off of what you care about. If I'm a civil guy, you know what model I care about? It's called a DTM. I want a digital terrain. I want to know the contours of the dirt. I want to know where I got to push this pile and that pile, where I got to cut in a pond. Or if I'm doing roads, I want alignments and templates, right? What's the cross section of the road? That's my 3D model. Those guys work in 3D models just like a building environment guy works in 3D models. And then finally, if you start going over here to the far bottom right, everybody has seen drones and photogrammetry, and there's this big show later on, SPAR, later on in the year, that's all about drones and collecting that data. So now all of a sudden, drones and collecting photogrammetry is big. You know what the deliverable of a drone flight is? It's a 3D model. So the photogrammetry software just creates a 3D model. So now, depending on your trade, depends on what kind of model you get. So 3D data is a humongous investment in each company, and it's a different definition based off of your trade. Okay? So there's a humongous disconnect when that happens, because each person on a project is looking at a different type of model, and nobody's taking that model all the way to the end. So if this line here is the truth, that's a building's reality. That's the truth right there. At the front end of it, when everybody's looking at their own model, we're the closest we can be to the truth. Nobody's done a thing on the job. Nobody's pushed a piece of dirt. Nobody's, they put up some silt fence, right? They can't screw that up, right? I don't even think they model silt fence, right? So we are really close to the truth. As soon as we start pushing dirt, we start getting farther away from the truth, because everybody starts getting away from the model or their model, and they just start doing what they need to on the job, and nobody's talking to each other. Nobody's using the actual coordinated model anymore, and we end up somewhere around here, and then everybody starts going, oh no, and then change orders happen, RFIs happen, and by the time the physical structure is done, we catch back up a little bit, but we're still so far away from what we actually wanted it to be. All right? And it happens all the time. When BIM and modeling first came out 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, whenever that was, we were probably more like down here at the start of the job. But BIM and modeling has caught us up. When we do these 3D coordination jobs, I know that our team and all the MEP firms, the concrete, the general contractor on our jobs, they feel very confident that they're right there. But as soon as that job kicks off, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the RFI on one of our models halfway through the job, because the sprinkler guy's got to move something and doesn't want to let anybody know, doesn't want to follow the model, and then we got to do some sort of change order to move something. Happens all the time. So, same as before, bridging the gap between the mental model and reality. It's the same thing. So the truth is the job, and depending on where you're at in your trade, depends on how far away you are from the truth of the actual job being correct and the reality of what's supposed to happen. So we need, the final building, everybody seems to get it together. There's no doubt that when a skyscraper is finished, it looks like what it was supposed to. It doesn't all of a sudden lose like 20 floors. Like they do finish it, right? And it looks just like it's supposed to. But we need to get these two lines to be all the way straight down. So everybody starts with the model and finishes where it's supposed to be, right? So we don't have this huge gap. So I want to bring this up. They're going to start this video for me. But we're going to jump now into the mixed reality part. And I want you to know that Trimble has been doing this for a long time. So this is 20 years ago, and we're going to play this video from a newscast 20 years ago. Oh, no. All right.
A collection of New Zealand's weird and wonderful inventions is being showcased at an international event in Christchurch. Science ministers from APEC countries are meeting for a conference this week, and they'll get to see the best of Kiwi science and technology talent.
Oakley might look a little out of place. That's because he's entering a whole new world.
Augmented reality is a technology that enhances the user's view on the real world. It's a system that can overlay computer graphics in real time into the user's surroundings.
It uses software that's been co-developed by companies HitLab and Trimble. This system's still in its development stages. They want to make it lighter, smaller and cheaper. But to see more of this house, I need to put this on. It'll let me walk through the house, even look out the window at the real world.
You can see a house before it's built, so you can say, I'd like to add a new room. The prospective buyer can say, let's change the colour. The road engineers can problem solve in the field. We have a native tree. We need to move that around.
So that was 20 years ago, guys. Like, that's pretty amazing when that video, if you haven't seen that video, I think that's really, really cool and impressive. And look where we're at now with the XR10. So they did it. It took 20 years, but it's smaller and it's lighter and it's faster. But now that we've done that in that 20 years, I think the technology is just going to ramp up so fast. So the release of the XR10, has anybody watched this or seen this? No, all right, this is good. So earlier in February, Microsoft released the HoloLens 2. Actually, they kind of released it. It's a soft, whatever you want to call it, a soft release. You can't buy it yet. But basically what they did is they came out with the second version of their HoloLens 1, lighter, faster, whatever. So when the first one came out, Trimble came out with a couple softwares to run on the HoloLens. One was SketchUp Viewer. If you're a SketchUp user, you can download it on the HoloLens. It allows you to view a model, very easy. You can scale it and pull measurements. That's it. It is a viewer, SketchUp Viewer. That's all you can do. Later, early 2018, Trimble introduced Trimble Connect for HoloLens. It's part of the Connect family, and it allows you to pull models down from Connect, which I just showed you, to view, and you can do a lot more in Connect. You can actually invite other people, so you can be in two different locations across the world and all be looking at one model on a job site and coordinate around that model. You can do more to-dos, you can pull measurements. It's just more reality and more really physical usage. So they also unveiled an OEM relationship. So Trimble is the first and only right now OEM partner with Microsoft. And they pulled Roz Buick, who is our VP of Buildings, out on the floor and introduced our XR10. Basically, it's a made by Trimble product. Well, we'll go right here. It's a made by Trimble product that uses the HoloLens 2 built into a hard hat. And you buy it all together from BuildingPoint at your BuildingPoint channel. That's my soapbox pitch, guys. All right. But it is a complete unit. Right? It works in conjunction with Connect to bring any of your information down and use it. Now, you don't have to just use Connect, right? Everybody's building applications for the HoloLens. So there are going to be all kinds of different things. But the HoloLens isn't just something you put on your head and it knows where it's at and it knows what you need to do. You have to assign it things. You have to tell it things. It is a computer on your head, right? It's a laptop on your head. That's all it is. But it has the technology of the augmented reality. Okay? So some of the feature sets on the new one, it's just lighter, faster, quicker, better battery life. All the things that you're used to when you go from your iPhone 6 to your iPhone 7 or from your 7 to your 10. It's just faster, quicker, lighter, better battery, less delay, all the things you want. It's got great eye tracking now. So now hands-free, right? So now I don't need to use this as much. I can do eye tracking to tell the HoloLens what I'm going to do. So now that frees up your hands more, allows you to do more work. That's going to be great for our applications. Sight vision. That's another way to use mixed reality in the field. So this is an amazing product for your dirt movers out there. Anybody that's an outside utility. This is augmented reality. I'm sorry, this is augmented reality, not mixed reality, right? There's virtual reality, which is you're in your own world. This is a tablet or a phone based, has a GPS receiver from Trimble, that's our heritage, and it actually allows them to be outside, bring down a position, which then aligns your model to what you're looking at. So I can view all of my underground before it's out there. I can view all, if you're an electric company, view all your runs, anything you want in an outside world for dirt work. And you can look at it before anything's put in place, before any dirt is moved. It's a neat product. Uses Connect, brings the models right down. So when I was talking about the different investments, if you're a site contractor, your model is totally different than if I'm a building contractor. So to kind of wrap up that, you have Connect at the top, and you have your mixed reality, your virtual reality, and your augmented reality, okay? And in the mixed reality world, I'm using Trimble Connect with the HoloLens, and I'm using SketchUp Viewer. Those are my two applications that I can use to access all of these drawings. If I'm in a virtual reality world, I'm using Trimble Connect VR and SketchUp Viewer VR. Those are new products coming out within the next whenever. That's going to be an application you download that allows you to be in a virtual reality world, not an augmented reality world. Maybe owners and developers want to sit in a little box, and it's like a video game. It makes me nauseous. I want to sit down when I look at it. But who knows? Maybe some guys like it. Then there's the augmented reality world, which is that sight vision thing you just saw, right? And Trimble Connect mobile for your phone. So I can just look through my phone, point it at this wall, and then open up a model and see that model sitting in this environment right here. So that's just for physical quick checks, right? But anybody can do it with any phone if you have Connect. And these are just some of our softwares right now that integrate directly into Connect so I can feed Connect the information. But we have Autodesk throws information up. Different other manufacturers throw information up. But obviously there's a lot of this Connect piece right here. Trimble Pulse is our fleet management solution for tracking vehicles. So mixed reality for construction, based off of what trade are you in, we can kind of give you an idea of what you can do. It's all housed in Connect, and we can do all of these different features based off of what trade or what part of the construction job you're on, okay? So it's kind of the same as the last slide, but I like breaking it down because it talks to you and what you do, all right? So now we've got I got 3 videos. They're short, but they're actually Chad with the HoloLens doing some of the pieces. So this one is location and scale. So you go ahead and hit it. So, and volume down on this too. I'll just talk over this. I don't think it's a TED Talk. That's probably not the one. That's not the one either. Is that link not working? just go ahead and play that one. I'll just talk over that one. All right, so what he's doing here is he's actually pulling up the drawing, and he's going to assign a scale and location to it to put it in the exact place of a construction job site that he needs it to be. So all of the little triangles there, that's all mapping your environment. The HoloLens actually does that on its own as you look around, and it maps your environment automatically. And when you pull your model down from Connect, right, it will always put it at this scale. And then you have this wheel here, which you guys all can play with when we're done, if you guys want to put it on and play with it yourself. That wheel allows you to do multiple different options. You can measure it, you can scale it, you can put it in place. So what Chad's doing with this is he's actually trying to scale the size of the room it's in, try to find 2 different planes he can match it to, and then he'll scale it to exactly fit the way it's supposed to in the design model to the actual spot on the project that it's at. So with doing this, you use your fingers right now on the HoloLens 1 as a mouse click, right? And so then you have to figure out exactly where you want it, pick your 2 spots, pick your planes, and then eventually it will be scaled to the position that you need it to be in the exact location. And then once you do that, you can pull its measurements and figure out if you have clash detection, if things are in the way. Like you notice right now, this whole piece of concrete they ripped out, they actually shouldn't have ripped out so much concrete, right? So that's what would be a clash. But this door is okay because the wall is going to come out from the door. So you can walk around the job site and you can pull measurements now from anything from the real world to the model, or from the model to the model. You can also do a look around view. You can do a walk-through view, and you can view if electrical outlets will be in the right place, if any existing steel is going to be in the way. But this just allows you to verify multiple different things really quick in the field, and you're just pulling it down from that model. So if you're a contractor and you're out on that job and that piece doesn't exist in Connect, the office can throw it on Connect, and then in 2 seconds you can drop it down, and you're just viewing it right from the HoloLens. All right, so that's that. Go back to the presentation if you don't mind, please. Okay, so next slide. So concrete detailing. So we're gonna, one of the cool things you can do with this is verify all of your rebar and detailing before it ever gets put in place. So we can load in any kind of detailed model, and you can verify that location before it ever gets put in place. All right, so that's a really neat thing you can do with the augmented reality. So clash detection. One of the cool things you can do here is if you're on site and you bring the model down and you're sitting on the site, you can verify with the model, and then you can invite somebody that's using another HoloLens or an augmented reality tool somewhere else in the world. They show up as an avatar, little blue icon in your HoloLens unit, and you can coordinate over this steel beam that's in the way of the wall. So this person can be at the office and actually make corrections to the model while you both look at it. So we do have a video, I don't know if it's going to play, that kind of does that. See if that one will play. Seemed to work better earlier. So go ahead and do this one. So this is a cool video of actually showing the collection of the data on the front end using our scanning technology, which would be done quite a bit now on job sites, bringing that data back in to a model-based software that can utilize point clouds. And what you're doing here is he's segmenting out a piece of pipe that he needs to fabricate to put in place. And he wants to go verify that this is actually going to fit, and then use the HoloLens to verify location that it's going to work. Okay? So what he can do, and you can do this, there's a bunch of different softwares. He's using Trimble RealWorks. What he does is he segments out the tool, he brings it into Trimble Siskiyou, and he'll actually use the library to create his pieces for his model. All right? So by creating the pieces in the model, he's able to create an object that he can bring back into the field, into the HoloLens, and then verify. Okay, so this is collection of data, validating that the data is there, bringing it into a design software, designing whatever you want, if this is MEP, but whatever your trade is, designing that, bringing it back into the point cloud to verify that that piece fits, and then you're going to see him bring it out into the real world. So he'll throw this up to connect, and then he goes out back onto the job, brings it down on the HoloLens through Connect, and then he'll actually physically put it in place by aligning it, and now he can physically check all his hangers, his pipe location, all his dimensions. He can walk around, do a walkthrough, a look view, and he can actually pull any measurements he wants. He actually goes around and makes some field verification measurements here at the end. So you basically can pick whether you want to measure from the real world to the virtual world or virtual to virtual. So here he's doing real to virtual, checking top of the deck down to the concrete floor, getting a dimension there, and then he's going to check from the bottom of the concrete to the hanger, center of the pipe. Make sure all his dimensions work, and he's actually going to do a virtual to virtual here and just make sure you check the length of his pipe. So on this video, you can go back to the slide deck. On this video, it was more about the collection of data, bringing it in and actually manipulating it and putting it back out with mixed reality. So we could do QA/QCs. So you can throw in your model after everything was installed, just to make sure everything got put in place. Very simple. We're going to do something like this here afterwards if you want to put it on yourself and look at a model. So that's something that you guys can all play with and do if you want to stick around afterwards. I believe that's pretty much it. I do have a video for the end, but it looks like the videos aren't really lined up, so I'm not sure if it's going to work. But this last slide just goes to show you, since 1997 all the way till now, we came from a backpack and a big, huge thing, and probably worked for like 2 minutes on a humongous battery, till now it's an actual physical thing that we can use, but there has to be an engine for the data. And I think that's the most important thing. All of these mixed reality solutions do not work unless there's an engine for the data. And if I can get anything out of today, it is pay attention to that, because that's really what's going to drive business as we move forward. How are you handling that big data that everybody talks about? And Connect is a real piece for it. Mixed reality will become a real solution out there. So if anybody wants to try the HoloLens, come up. We have a full MEP model that you can throw that on. You can do anything you want to with it. So other than that, that's it. Any questions? Concerns? All right, that's it. Thank you, guys.